Global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned. Hello guys, welcome to Global Happenings. Today we have a trending news here for you. And the headline of the news reads, Renowned IGBO politician supports federal government, says lock up Nigeria and we will solve our problem within. But before we continue, please, if you've not subscribed to our channel, kindly do so by clicking on the red subscribe button and also on the bell icon so that you can get notification anytime we publish videos on YouTube. All right, let's look at the news in detail. The former governor of Anambra State and former vice chairman candidate of the People Democratic Party, Peter Obi, says it is wrong to relax lockdown because of religious worship. Speaking at a program on Arise Television on Friday, Obi said that the coronavirus pandemic is going out of hand and that the country does not have enough resources to manage it. He said states which have relaxed the lockdown for Easter celebration do not have enough ventilators should the crisis escalate. According to him, he said it is wrong to relax lockdown because of people going to church. Faith is a thing of the mind. You can worship without going to church. He went further to say that we have a crisis that we don't have the resources to manage. The greatest country in planet Earth is America. They are on their knees now, health-wise and economically. We should not allow that because we cannot manage it. Lock up Nigeria and we will solve our problem from within. And this is sequel to the fact that some state government has announced a relaxation of the lockdown enforced to curb the spread of the coronavirus over the Easter celebration. All right, that's the news. And we just want to look at this. One of the critical situation that we always have in our hands is the fact that people go overboard whenever it comes to religion. They go overboard and they do things that are really unimaginable, unthinkable, you know. Now, the truth, let the truth be told, God doesn't exist in just a gathering of a people, as much as God loves people to gather for his name's sake. But at the same time, individuality towards God is also very important. When you want to receive God or receive Christ for Christians into your life, it's a single decision and he deals with you as a person. The Bible had already made us to understand that our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit and the Spirit of God dwells therein in us, which therefore means that when situations like this pop up, it's our duty to recognize that truth and live by that truth, and we try to live overboard the religious sentiments that most of the so-called preachers carry around. Right now, we have a situation at hand, and the situation at hand is that there is a plague, a pandemic, which requires lockdown, which requires staying away from each other. The reason is because it is contagious. The reason is because a crowd will bring about further spread of this pandemic. And right now, the federal government is trying to do everything within its power to see how they can control this spread. So for you, because of pressure from the so-called men of God, whom I will say, I'm a Christian, I would say that who did not even see when this plague was coming, because if they were very serious with what they are doing, they would have sought the face of the Lord to know when this plague was coming. But even in some of them, their prophecies for 2020, none of them made mention of this. Now the plague has come, and now they are trying to make suggestion, telling you that forget about the fact that it is plague and let the people gather. It is Easter. We will continue to celebrate Easter in the years that are ahead of us. But for now, we have a situation at hand, and we need to bring in all amount of wisdom right now. We need wisdom to handle this situation, and that wisdom demands that we stay away from any crowded environment, that we shouldn't even encourage crowd. I've heard already from Ebonyi State, he said that the church can gather. My brother, when this situation goes overboard, I can assure Ebonyi State governor that he will not be able to handle it. And guess what? This particular plague is not a respecter of any person, because your own person, your very close guy, can go out there and contact it. And even if you look at the setting of the church, you realize that those who are at the hem, who are pastors, they stay far away from each other. Most churches will, and some people are saying that, okay, we'll gather as a church and we will observe the social distancing. When it is time for choruses, when it is time to dance and celebrate, I can assure you that they will forget about social distancing. That time, sentiments will begin to play. And guess what? My greatest fear around this whole thing is that most people who are sick, when they hear that the church have started gathering, they wouldn't mind to bring their own sick people down to the church. They can go to that NCDC or any isolation center, bring out their own people to come and be a part of the church. And from there, it will start spreading. We've heard of a case of a particular family who had a funeral service, and when they had the funeral service, someone came in to be a part of that funeral service and ended up giving the virus to almost about 30-something people who makes up the family. They've already lost 3 members of the family. The other ones are in intensive unit, health unit. So right now, it's not an issue of sentiment. Most people who even goes to church, most of them have nothing to do with God. Some just believe, thank God this lockdown is over. Let me go and display the clothes I have sewn. They are going there to display their clothes. To tell you that they are going there to praise God is absolutely a lie. You see, sometimes people go to church and they are with their cameras viewing themselves dancing in church. Tell me the whole truth. Does God abide in such? The Bible says that we must worship God. It must be in spirit and truth, which therefore means it's a mix-up of different people from different backgrounds, from different belief systems, which means that even the oneness that God expects of them will not be seen because of the way of life. So right now, let's curtail all of that because we have a situation at hand. This thing does not respect anybody. WHO, the World Health Organization, had already prescribed the way we've got to live. They have told us how the mode of transmission of this particular virus, that it's via coughing, sneezing, and the likes. And it is mostly encouraged when there are crowds in an environment and all of it. We should try to stay away from that, because the reason is we do not even have a solution to the issue. So I think right now I queue up behind these guys. Yes, I know that times are very tough. Yes, we know that we're trying to lean on the federal government. There are a lot of talks to see how they can provide palliatives during this period, though I know that somehow God will sustain us and and all of that. But then we have to be careful if we still want Nigeria to exist. Don't forget that this country, when it comes to things like this happening, they are overly not interested. If it happens now, some of those governors will deny you. If it happens now, some of those so-called pastors, they will deny you. A lot of them have private jet. It becomes so tough, they go to their mansions in their villages and stay there without allowing anybody to come closer to them. So let's be wise as at this time. God says we should respect instructions from those who are our leaders, because it is God that kept them there. If it is not the will of God, they cannot be there. So they say lockdown, as far as it doesn't contravene our human, fundamental human rights, because I can assure you that when we talk about freedom of worship and all of that, there are exemptions to it. And one of those exemptions is that in event of plague like this, that everybody are expected not to gather, and all of that. So with what Peter Obi, the former governor of Anambra State and also former PDP vice chairman candidate, is saying, I queue up behind him. I think that is the wisest decision everybody should take. Please, they should call off all those issues that we are hearing. I've heard about Cross River State. I've heard about River State. I've heard about Ebonyi State. I've heard about Katsina State, Kogi State, and the likes. They should stop it, because when that wind will start blowing, nobody will be safe as at that point. We should be wise enough, because we have already heard stories coming from Italy. We have seen the rate of death. It has even hit a country that have almost one of the best facilities when it comes to health. Talking about United States of America. Now the country that is topmost now, it's the UK. Even Boris Johnson has been infected. Just to show you that if there is a way out of it, most of those countries would have given it up to the very rich. But unfortunately, that is not the situation now. Don't even right now even advises we shouldn't even even trust any vaccine that is coming from this. So whatever we have to do to curtail this, it's not going to take forever. Whether it's going to take for the next 6 months, whether it's going to take the next 3 months, let's try to, understand with the federal government and see how we can obey instruction to prevent further spread of this. All right, we are going to look at 1 or 2 reactions from Nigerians, and on the basis of that, we can draw a conclusion. This one said, this one is speaking in a very terrible way. Said, Peter Obi is really a demented imbecile. He is always speaking from both sides of his mouth due to mental depravity. This is an interview he granted the Punch late last month condemning the lockdown. He said, and now wrote a very long listing. Yeah, maybe it's because as at that time he did not have adequate knowledge of the power of this spread, and maybe he was influenced politically. But all the same, whether he says it or he doesn't say it, I think with just our own head and our own reasoning, we can, understand the effect of this. This one thing I don't understand is why people don't want to talk to God in their own homes. My brother, that is one of the things that have been bothering my heart. Why are we clamoring to gada? Yes, it's very important for us to gather, but as at this time, we can still talk. You say you are a Christian now, which therefore means that God abides in you, and God can hear you. No matter the hideout you stand and you pray unto God. Even this is an opportunity for us to develop our home cell. Our families should turn out to be our home cell, where we sit down together with our family members, or if you don't have a family member, it's all about you. You sit down, commune with God, strengthen your spiritual life this season more than ever, because most of the time, everyone that had gotten an encounter with God, most of the time it takes place in the place of your loneliness. That's when God meets with you. Okay, let's look at certain persons in the Bible that God has made with them and turned around their life. The likes of David, the likes of Mary, the mother of Jesus. It wasn't a crowd thing. It wasn't in the synagogue that God made with him and said, I have a plan for you. You're going to bear a child in your all of them were all individually. Jesus normally separated himself to go and pray. This is a time of separating ourselves and praying. So it's really amazing. Just like this person have said, prayer can be answered any way prayers can be answered. We should stop this psychophancy. We should stop all this religious sentiment. It makes no sense. Absolutely, it makes no sense. When you get to heaven, God will not judge you as a church. It will judge each and every one of us as individuals. And that's why it's very, very, very important. Please. All right, we have a lot of other reaction. Another one says here, religious folks don't always get it. They think this lockdown is just mere rituals like their other religious practices, that it's for the sake of it or just because others are doing. Relaxing the lockdown at this point when the virus hasn't been contained is rendering the effort and input put in place all this while useless and render the previous lockdown futile. Absolutely. Now, the person went further to say, well, I have known religious people not to be logical, but mathematically, I have a question. Yesterday was Good Friday. Jesus was crucified, and he'll probably resurrect tomorrow, being Sunday. They said he died and resurrected after 3 days. From Friday to Saturday, is it 3 days? See, religion has a way of making people have a hate mentality so bad. A lot of things, my brother, a lot of things. These are some of the truths that we must take into consideration and obey the instruction of the federal government. All right, well, that's where I'm going to leave it. Go to our comment section. Let us interact. Is it needful for us to gather, or do you think it